We're here in the real presence of Jesus Christ in the Holy Eucharist in the monstrance. He's really here. This is not a symbol. And so, Lord, with your permission, allow me to speak in your presence and tell another story about the Holy Eucharist. It's dangerous to work in a tuberculosis ward in a hospital. Really dangerous. Hi everyone, this is Father Rocky in the Chapel of the Nativity at Relevant Radio in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with another story about the Holy Eucharist for our Eucharistic Encounter series. Now this story took place, about 200 years ago in Paris after the French Revolution. As a result of the French Revolution, the church suffered a great deal. Priests and nuns and bishops were executed. Churches were burned down and closed. But the governmental authorities let the Catholic hospitals stay in operation because they recognized that the Catholic hospitals were doing a wonderful amount of good for the citizens. Still, the government inspectors would come to the hospitals every year for an inspection. So one year, the government inspectors, they showed up for the annual inspection of the Sacred Heart Hospital, which was run by the nuns in Paris. And at the front door, the Mother Superior greeted the public officials, government officials, and said, "Our inspection today begins in our chapel." And the government inspector said, "Sister, we don't have to start in the chapel. We can go right to the hospital." She said, "No, our inspection starts in the chapel." Well, the government inspectors were wise enough to know they weren't going to win that argument. And so the sister opened the door and they came into the chapel. They were respectful. And what did they see? They saw two nuns in full habit, kneeling on kneelers in front of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament, just like this, and in silence. The government inspectors, they felt a little bit uncomfortable, but they were respectful. So after a few minutes, Sister brought them out the door and said, "Well, okay, let's go and walk down the halls and do our annual inspection." So they started in the maternity ward, and then they went to the ward of the newborn babies, and then they went to the pediatric ward, and they went through a number of different wards until they got down to the end of the hall, and they arrived to the tuberculosis ward. Now, back in that day, tuberculosis was frightening. It was incurable, it was contagious, and it was fatal. So she opened the doors. They walked in and they saw the horror. They smelled the stench. They heard the pain of the people who were suffering, and they couldn't take it. And the government inspector said to the nun, "I can't believe anyone can take care of those people." And the sister said, "That's why we had to start in the chapel. Because if it weren't for Jesus in the Holy Eucharist, nobody could do that." And so the Holy Eucharist is known as the sacrament of charity. When we revere the Blessed Sacrament, there's more charity in our life, willingness to help others and to be kind and to be helpful. It's the furnace of charity in the church. So I want to encourage you, if you can today, go to your local church and make a short visit to the Blessed Sacrament. So let's all show up for Jesus for the National Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis.